Good, good morning. Trying a different setup today, so let me know how it goes. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Facebook user. Although I think I know who it is. Good morning to you. My day's going not too bad so far. Right now, I'm playing around with the streaming setup. So I've added another camera, which is now over by the another camera, which is over by the way station and the ultrasonic. So I'm going to see about what I can do to get some better camera angles in here, and maybe make it a little bit more engaging. And then I think I'm going to get another camera for right here, so that I can do a top-down view whenever I'm doing something that I'm manipulating. The other thing that I'm going to play with here in just a little bit is this guy. Wow. So I'm hoping, hey Patrick, good to see you. So I'm hoping that with the OBS software, I'm hoping I will be able to add the microscope camera, and we'll be able to share that on screen at the same time. So we'll see what we can do. I don't know if Phil's in here yet, but if anybody's looking at the screen right now, it's really unfortunate. So sometime last night, the auto sampler failed to grab the bottle and return back to its base position, so it basically stopped running, which is unfortunate because it means we now have to finish the sequence, which means I have to go screw with it manually. Okay. And now we're just going to hit retry, see what happens. So unfortunately, the auto sampler tower that's behind me over here is slightly leaning because of the harness that's set up for it. And for whatever reason, occasionally it misses. So I gotta kind of like reset it or reseat it rather. Yeah. Hey Phil, all right, cool. So yeah, I see you in here now. All right, so yeah, if you didn't catch it, what I was just talking about, the samples didn't finish running yesterday, so I'm gonna have it run now. We'll finish it and then we'll tabulate. We will show the tabulation process. So while that's running, since that's going to take a while, so while that's running, I'm going to play around with the camera setup and see what we can do to have a little bit more interesting shots, I guess. So let's do. it's complaining because I took the bottle out. So I'm gonna abort this, and I'll just finish it manually. I gotta wait for that to finish running, and then I'll do that. So let's see if this is gonna let me use this as a camera or not. Don't know. It's all new for me. So add a video source. Oh, it doesn't show up. That's a bummer. Oh, but you know what? It doesn't need to because I can share the app. It's too light. Heyo. All right, let's do another window capture. Okay. No device. What do you mean no device? Objects. Oh, it's not working. My name should come up on the side. I had to turn. Yeah, that's so strange how that works for the StreamYard. Like, you'd think if you did it one place, it would just allow it everywhere, but I guess not. All right, so I'm having a hard time getting this camera to show up for some reason. Password just appear. Oh, that's strange. Let's go back to this. So, this is one of the frustrating things. Obviously, it grabbed the bottle and it ran. That's what's happening in the background. But it's having a hard time getting the bottle back out, so I'm going to have to go fuss with it. Okay, that's done. So hopefully that'll fix it. The tower is just slightly off center. So when the grabber goes to grab the bottle, it's like missing it just slightly. Forrest, if you want to shoot me a message, I can help you get your account reset. Hey, Lori, good to see you. How are you this morning? Why isn't this working? Try it again. Ah, there it is. What the frick? Okay. Now we should be able to do some fun stuff. All right, so that run just finished. I'm gonna see if this sequence is still running after before I go and do anything else. All right, so let's go to here. I'm gonna do a 10. And then so we can't see anything because there's not enough light, which is hopefully about to fix. Okay. Hey, Amanda, good to see you. I think we need more coffee. Yeah, probably. Ooh, let's do 20%. Actually, I think we're gonna stick at 10, maybe 15. Oh, won't let me type it. Okay. So now, it's more for grins and giggles than anything else. All right. That's kind of cool. Hey, Phil. Yeah, it did show up. Let me know how that inflammation Jane works out for you. I'm really curious. So far, the feedback has been very positive, particularly for pain. So, Jane, I can tell you at least one person mentioned that they also suffer from chronic nausea. And they had mentioned the inflammation Jane really helped with their nausea anyway. So I'd say there's a good chance of that, especially if coffee doesn't already mess with your system too bad. Let's try this one. Yeah, I'll do some specific um, I'll do some specific research into gastroparesis, but I think the inflammation Jane is probably a really good place to start. And the reason I say that is it has CBGA in it, which is really well known to be gut protective and promoting of your gut health, like healthy digestive processes and whatnot. So that might be a good place to start. More or less at this moment in time, I'm telling everybody start at inflammation Jane and kind of work from there, because we made inflammation Jane originally for Ray, who has UC, and it was really successful for his UC, but because it was a part of the tester stuff, formulation number 2, we sent that out to a bunch of other folks too, and the feedback on that has just come back for all kinds of things never would have even thought about. Does it increase appetite? The inflammation Jane, not to my knowledge. Is that something you struggle with, Lori? So if you're just following along now, really not doing a whole heck of a lot other than playing around with the microscope. Right now, the GC is off doing its thing. It's running in sequence. Oh, it's currently in the middle of one. So we're just waiting for all those to run. Basically, after all of these have run, then the next course of business will be to extract the data. Well, the first thing to do is go through and make sure all the runs were essentially valid. And of particular importance will be making sure that the calibrations ran correctly. So what we'll be looking for there is, we did a 3-point dilution. Now I do have my suspicions. It is your flower under the microscope, Phil. Now I have my suspicions yesterday when I was manipulating the mechanical pipette. Now every one of these pipettes has a low and high end value. So this is the one I used yesterday, which you can see is 10 to 100, and then that stands for microliters after that. So we did a 10x dilution on the 125 part per million standard. However, now if you've never used a mechanical pipette before, it's so feel based. It's weird, but there's basically this lever that you press here has 2 levels. So that's the first level, and then that's the second level. Okay, so this first level right here, this is what you use to get your measured amount out of. So you set this dial, set it to whatever you want it to be, and then you kind of hit this, you hit the pump the first time, and then that'll get that amount out. Now, this is based on displacement, right? So this is displacing air, and then that basically sucks up a certain volume of liquid. At the very lowest, the way these things are built, basically the low end is as least accurate as it can be, and at the top end is the most accurate it can be. Okay, so the low end on this thing is 10 microliters. Yesterday, when I was trying to extract 10 microliters from the standard, it felt to me like I couldn't only hit this first action here, because as the amount gets smaller, the travel on this thing also gets a lot smaller. So it felt like to me that I couldn't fully extract just 10 microliters. I felt like I was getting into that second one. So I have a suspicion that those dilutions may not have been correct. And if that's the case, they'll have to be rerun, but I won't be able to tell that until the sequence has finished running, pull the data over to another computer, which is a little newer in software, but not by a whole lot. But then that computer will be the one that we use to actually quantify the data and make sense of all the results, essentially. But my suspicion is when we get to quantifying the data, that the calibrations, especially around the 10x dilutions, are probably wrong, because this felt like it was wrong. And the solution to that is have to redo the calibrations and then also use a more appropriate pipette. So I do have one that on the top end is 10 microliters and is like 0.1 microliter on the low end or whatever. So doing that dilution, I needed to use that pipette instead of this pipette. It's just too inaccurate for that small of an amount. And because of what we're doing, errors compound and they travel through. So an error at measurement in one place goes all the way up, and we don't want that. All right, so back to, I think the sequence might be finished. I think it might be finished. I think that's why it's sticking on not ready, but I'm gonna let that run for a little bit and then we'll see. So just catching up on comments here for Lori. Increasing appetite. So that's a tricky one. So there's 2 cannabinoids that are most associated with being able to increase your appetite, and that's going to be delta 9 and delta 8 THC. Okay. Now, if you're already consuming delta 9 THC and it's not increasing your appetite anymore, delta 8 might, right? It's a different cannabinoid. It has slightly different effects. It's less psychoactive than delta 9, but delta 8 might give you that effect. It's hard to say. If it's something that you want to experiment with, then we could certainly play around with formulations around that effect as well. I need some of that inflammation Jane for my wife and myself. She's inflammatory bowels. Yeah, so inflammation Jane's a really good one right now for at least kind of starting, I say. We have the variety pack, and if you haven't tried them before or you're particularly targeting something, then I think the variety pack's a good way to start. That's got the energetic Jane and the inflammation Jane. which are very similar formulations, by the way. They are tremendously different, but they are similar. It's really weird. But anyway, so it has inflammation Jane, energetic Jane, as well as original and extra strength original Jane. So that's a good one to start with. And right now, basically, I recommend start with variety pack. You know, when you're treating something internal, there's all kinds of different reasons for what that pain may be, you know, what the source of that pain might be from, and how you treat that pain effectively matters based on that information, right? So part of the way that THC treats pain is it blocks the pain receptor. So you just feel less of the pain, which is awesome. Now, anyone who's smoked long enough will know that that effect goes away, unfortunately. But the good news is if your pain is, let's say, inflammation based or triggered because of inflammation, and there just are so many conditions that are that way, then the good news is that cannabis in the coffee form, which is totally different from smoking, but cannabis in the coffee form can really treat the pain, the source of the pain, right, which is the inflammation, rather than just simply blocking some of those pain signals so that you go about your day just not noticing the pain about as much. All right, so the sequence is done. That's what this red light over here just went for, or green, whatever. So this last sample I ran is really interesting. Oops. Oh, you know what? This is going to be, Phil, this is your leftovers. So Phil, if you wanted to know real quick how worthwhile your leftovers were, this is the only peak of significance, and it is very insignificant. So I would say you did a very good job of extracting. So what this peak shows me is there's very, very, very trace amount of THC in that white jar thing that we ran, whatever you want to call that guy. All right, so now, so we've run the samples. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the other machine I use. These are all virtual machines, of course. And what this one does is it's got a slightly newer version of the software. So because the equipment I have is so old, the auto sampler, for whatever reason, really only likes to work with certain versions of the software. So we use an old version of the software to collect the data, and then a newer version to process it. And that's what we're going to do here. So first thing I'm going to do is bring the sequence in. There's no point really explaining what this is, because unless you're actually doing this, it doesn't matter. So I'll just take care of it real quick. Respectively, what I'm doing here is I'm pointing to where the data is at. I'm pointing to the method information so that it can, know how it was ran, what the data that was, collected, and then it'll essentially copy all that over to this version of software. So we're collecting the data, so that's always going to be based on the date, 11/28. Those are all the runs that are in there, so I'm going to hit that. Data, new folder, 11/28/2022. Got it. Boom. All right, so that's just going to copy it over. Nothing too terribly exciting there. It's going to show up here now. So this is where we get to do the quote-unquote fun stuff. All right, so let me get the microscope out of the way. There's that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and also kill, that one. All right. So the very first thing, so I'll just go ahead and show it. So I'm going to overlay these two signals. All right, so if you can't see too terribly clearly, over here on the left-hand side, there is a blue line and a red one. So this makes it a little easier to see. All right, so what's happening here is this red one is the first injection. Now, for whatever reason, it always seems to be that the very first injection is kind of like a warm-up injection, and it just gets the GC going. So first injection's always discarded, and that's why it's ran twice. And that's just to illustrate. So if I were to overlay the next one, so I'm going to deselect these. And if I could get my mouse to cooperate, which you can't, for whatever reason. There we go. All right, so now if I overlay the second and third injections, you can already see without having to overlay it how consistent these are. All right, so that right here. That's a really good sign. So this is part of what the auto sampler helps to do, is it helps to ensure that injections are as consistent from one to another as is possible. So these are really good. And all we're looking for right now is to see, okay, do we need to discard any of these injections because they didn't inject correctly? So the very first thing we look at is going to be the solvent. That's the most obvious. You can almost always see that right away. But the other thing to look at here is the internal standard, which is right here on this graph. Good. So that hump at 1.2 minutes, you can see that right here. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but right here at 1.2 minutes is where the internal standard starts to come out. Boom, boom, boom. And we can see this is, again, pretty consistent in how they come out. So this is all good. It's good information. These are things that we're looking at when we do a run to understand how valid that run is going to be. So right now, everything looks really good on those two. Now, this is where it's going to get a little weird. So I'm going to load the 3 calibration runs. And we can see, it may be hard to see through the web thing, but all 3 peaks are very, very similar. In fact, you can see that here. Very, very similar. So I'm just going to make them line up. So again, pretty consistent, and that's what we're going for. We want these injections to look as similar as possible. The next thing we want to look for is going to be the internal standard, which is this guy. Let me see if I can. Boom, boom, boom. Getting there. All right. So the next thing that we're looking at here is this peak on the left, right? So again, this is the internal standard. What we look for with the internal standard is it helps us to know that the amount of solution injected is consistent. And when it's effectively, when it's not, you can use the amount of internal standard found at a calibration point, okay? And then you can use your sample injection internal standard amount, and then you basically cross-reference the two, right? So you might be, your internal standard on your calibration versus your sample amount might be 3% off. So as a result of that, your sample numbers get adjusted by 3% to make them even effectively. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so the very first thing over here is, I wish I could make this bigger. All right, so that's the internal standard over here. And this is where our cannabinoids are, right over here. So starting at 1.8 minutes, starting at 1.8 minutes, that's CBD, followed by Delta 9 THCV. Then I think it's CBC, CBL, CBD, Delta 8, Delta 9, CBG, CBN. Now, this is where we get to have a little bit of fun, Because according to this, now these are all three calibration runs at supposedly at different concentrations. Now I say supposedly because, as I mentioned earlier, internal standard for pretty much all of them lines up pretty well. But what should not line up pretty well are these peaks, and these are the cannabinoids that came out. So what this tells me is that there was no dilution whatsoever. Hey, old Scratch, good to see you. So there was no dilution in the calibrations, and what that means is that there's no breakdown. We can't see a 3-point run. It's basically a 1-point calibration, which is not in itself invalid, but it's not as useful, and it's not what we were specifically going for. So that's those were the calibration standards from the ResTech. That was the second sequence on it. I'm going to check mine, the sequence that I did using my standard. So again, just at this overlay, you can already see the solvent peaks look pretty much the same. That's a really good sign. It's what I want to see. All right. All right, so this oh, shit. So I'm just gonna scale this up a little bit. All right, so this is the second set of 3. This is based on my calibrations that I made. So this is where I took 2 grams of each cannabinoid that I have available to me. Some are in pure form, some are not. It might just be dominant, for example. But anyway, so made that calibration run, tried to do a 3-point same process as with the ResTech. And then this is where a little bit of difference, right? So the first thing to note here on these 3 is the internal standard is identical, more or less. That's what we care about. That means none of these injections, are inherently discarded based on that. We would normally, if we saw big variations here, if you saw one that went like, whoa, a little bit, like half or whatever, even something else, you generally just discard it and rerun the injection because it's not close enough, and you don't want to be adjusting 30% for, internal standard type stuff. So you don't want to be doing that. Now, the next thing over here is the cannabinoids. Whoopsie. Okay, so better than the first one. All right, so the red one is our 125 part per million. And then the rest of them, you can see the green and the blue are effectively identical. Although they are consistently off by a certain amount, what this tells me is that one of these 2 injections is wholly invalid. Just is. So now, because there's 2 of them, you could kind of go on and say, my guess here is that it's the calibration at 6.25 that's wrong. The way that I would determine that, just load the 2 signals, just as we have been. Check out this period of time. So I apologize. It loaded all 3 again. I don't know if I have 3 selected or it just did that. All right, so there's those 2. All right, cool. So overlay, 0, 0. Show, boom. We'll just go over the cannabinoids, which I can see are right here. Okay, so as expected, the 6.25 undoubtedly fucked up on both of them. Again, going back to what I was talking about with the pipette. So I think, using this one, which is the 10 to 100 microliter pipette, I think that's just trying to use it for 10 microliters is just not it's not effective. So I'm going to need to probably redo that standard. Now, what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to redo the one I made today because it's moderately pointless. What I am going to do is I'm going to pull out the ResTech standard, and then I'm going to remake a 3-point standard off the 125. So we'll do again a 125, a 62.5, and a 6.25, or excuse me, a 1.25, because that'll be a 10 off the 125. Or I guess that'll be a 12. That'll be a 12.5, sorry. Anyway, so I'm going to pull out the ResTech standard that I used yesterday. I'm going to pull out 100 microliters, and then I'm going to take 100 microliters of solvent. That'll create our half dilution standard. And then I'll do the 10x. But what I'm wondering right now, so when I do the standards, I put them into little vials with inserts, which I don't have one in front of me to show you, but I'm fairly certain I did at least the half dilution correctly the last time, and I'm wondering, did it not vortex mix correctly in the insert vial? Like, is there not enough headspace that it can't make a vortex? And I don't know. I'm going to try it without it because it's such a pain in the ass otherwise. But I guess we'll find out. So I'll do that here. Go grab that, and then we'll see about... I'm going to make some changes to the camera setup so I can bring that over here to show you. And then we'll do those. So I'll be right back. So let's see. All right, that's not how I want that to be. That's okay. You can see for now, and then I'll figure out how to do a better overhead. All right. Too much in the vial? Yeah, very possibly, Old Scratch. Very possibly too much in that vial. So if there's not enough like headspace, then it may not be able to vortex mix. It's hard to say. All right, so there's the 125 ResTech standard. I have an idea. Before I do this, I will be right back with this camera. Every time I unplug the thing, it crashes the software. So pardon while that's happening. So move this thing. This. Get a better view on these. All right. It's not a very good view, but that'll have to do for now. And I wish I had more light right here. Okay. Yeah, I can't see anything. Hold on. see if we can get this thing to give us some light we so desperately need. Hopefully without screwing up everything else. Yes. Hey, that looks a lot better, right? Did it fuck up again? Yeah, of course it fucked up again. All right, sorry about that. Every time I fuck with the camera, it seems to kill. Without blowing me out. Seems to kill the OBS software. So I got to restart it. All right, so again, what we're gonna do here, we got the. That's this one. All right. So this is what I should have used last time. Where's the camera at? Yeah. So 0.5 to 10 microliters. So that's what we'll be using. If I can find the right darn pipette tips, those aren't it. All right. Hey, Maui Queen, thanks for joining us. Wow, that actually does fit in there. That's surprising. So just a quick recap, we're going to rerun our calibration solution because it didn't run how we expected it to. So what we will be doing, getting cords out of the way and stray hairs. So what we're going to be doing is setting up 3 new ones, just because we can. So we're going to do a 125, a 62.5, and a 12.5. So that's what these are going to be, 125, 62.5, 12.5. This is our ResTech standard. This is what we will be taking out of. So that's going to go right here. And then, let's see. You go ahead and put in vial inserts. That's these little things. I don't know if you can see that or not. So this little insert just goes into one of these. And the reason you use this is so you can use a whole lot less. If I were just using this guy, I need about 1 milliliter of solution for the needle to even be able to grab any. By putting this vial in there, now I can fit 200 microliters of solution into this vial, and I only need 100 microliters for the auto sampler syringe to actually be able to grab onto it. All right. So that's what that is. Now I'm trying to decide how I want to go about this. So I think what I'm going to do is just do 10 out of this here, 10 from here into here, followed by 90 out of this guy of solvent. I'll just set that to 90. Okay. So that'll be 10 of the 125 plus 90 microliters of solvent. That's going to create 1 milliliter at a 10x dilution. So that'll be 12.5 parts per million. Then out of here, I'm going to take 100 microliters and put it into here. And then I'll take an equal 100 microliters of solvent, also put it into there. And then that should create our 2x dilution. And then I'll go ahead and just drop 100 microliters. Hopefully I got enough. Got about 500 left in here. So let's not fuck it up. All right, so 10, 90, I need solvents. And then 10, 90, I need solvents. Something leaking? Oh man, I almost had a heart attack. It looked like there was a leak in this bag. Okay, that's annoying. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so let's see. More solvents. I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and dispense some solvent into here. And just a reminder, this solvent has what we call internal standard added to it. That's important for tracking injection to injection. Specifically in making sure that it was accurate and correct. Okay. So we have our internal standard. This is acetone. We're going to take, these should already have internal standard added to it. Oh. Yeah, it does. I did that last week. So we evaporated 100 microliters of standard out, and then we put in 800 microliters of solution. Hey, Joshua, good to see you. We're just doing some, we're going to make some calibrations here. And then we're going to toss them up on the GC. So, welcome to hang out with us. By the way, as always, you know, if you guys have questions or whatever, I'd love to answer them. So by all means, please hit me up. All right, so here we go. First, 10 microliters. So hard to even see that. Okay, 10 microliters is gone. Next, 90 microliters of solvent. Okay, that's going to make 100 microliters. In fact, what I might try to do first is, since this is only 100 microliters, I'm going to make 100 microliters out of the next solution, which I'm going to take 50 microliters of solvent. Okay, discard the tip. And then 50 microliters of standard. Discard the tip. All right, so those are done. And I forgot lids somehow. No, I didn't. So now what I'm going to do is cap these guys up because I don't want anything evaporating. And then I will go ahead and take the last 100 out of here. And put it into this third and final vial. All right, so there's 100. Okay, so hopefully that's enough so we don't have to do this again. I really don't want to do it again. We can at all avoid it. All right, so the next, kind of like the last thing too, for this part of it, I'm going to take this out because I'm going to put this back in the freezer, lest it escape through evaporation. Joshua, we're not testing any formulations today necessarily anyway. We are finishing up our round of plant and flower testing from yesterday. So all we need to do that now is to rerun the calibration so that we have a good calibration set. And then we'll be able to basically run the math on it. So I'm just going to label these what I believe they're supposed to be, 62.5 on this one, just 12.5. Okay. So now that these are mixed, they're going to get vortex mixed so that they're hopefully homogeneous. And then they go into the GC. All right. So hopefully that's done right and we won't have to do that again. Be a little smaller and less prominent. Windows XP for real, yeah. Yeah, it's funny because this is the newest software I could get to run that runs the version of ChemStation that works on the gas chromatograph. Hey, Crystal. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Caught us in the middle of doing some pipette screwery, something like that. Okay, so what is this? Oh, over here. That's fine. Yeah, it's just Windows software, unfortunately. Older tech that can't run on the new operating system. Yeah. So it's kind of a twofold problem. Supposedly you can make it work on like Windows 7 or 10 or whatever the hell. Supposedly you can make that happen, but the auto sampler controller, which can all maybe barely see above my left shoulder here. The auto sampler controller, like it only works on certain versions of the software, and to get anyway, yeah, it's old shit. So I have one virtual machine for running the GC and then one virtual machine for quantifying the data. All right, so these are done. And now we're going to go ahead and pop these into the slots on the GC. They're already programmed in there. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to change this, in fact. So I'm just gonna, what I did here is I changed the sequence, and basically, so I just want to see, I want to be able to do a comparison between this run and the run yesterday, mostly looking at the top end since that's the only test that seems to be valid. But I don't want to overwrite that accidentally, so I'm just going to save it to a different one. So now what I'm going to do is put these guys into the GC, and then we're going to run it. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit run, and then it's going to do its thing. I really got to get Windows to stop doing that. All right, there we go. And then let's see, we'll go to OBS, turn off this one. Only because it's more interesting than looking at me. Go. Yeah. This is really cool. You can almost see into the trichomes. Hey, Crystal, thanks for showing up. Really do this for you guys. So I appreciate the feedback. That's nuts. Where is my 2 point? Here it is. We can almost see it. Oh well. Let's see if we can find a different piece to look at. Oh, too zoomed in to be looking at. Too zoomed in. All right. So let's do. What the hell? All right. So that's where the light source is. So we should be looking at flower right now. Oh. Hey, David. Yeah, it's very accurate. It's a microscope for the lab, of course, so it'll go up to 100 times resolution, which is way more than you need. The downside too, though, is getting like some of these details is really challenging. But macro photography, I think is really cool. And I do have a thing that I can use with the microscope, so I can do macro stacks, which is really cool. But man, it takes forever. Yeah, I don't like the zoom level. So this is 10 power, which I think is just too much. What's blowing me out? Is it this lamp or is it this lamp? Might as well not even have lamp on. Yeah, so cool thing about it is you could see a whole heck of a lot. The not so cool part about it is it's so finicky that it's really hard to even look at what you want to see sometimes. All right, let's just check on the GC here for a second. Tube light out of here. So as I was mentioning before, that first injection almost never injects right. I don't know exactly why. Maybe just it's not heated up yet enough. But so the thing here is, I know this injection's really small. I can tell from where the internal standard is relative to everything else that it just didn't get a full kind of injection there. So the next one should have a wider solvent and probably more signal response. So we'll see here in a minute. Zoom in. All right, so let that go. Come back here. So Phil's saying he harvested this last Thanksgiving, and it's been in storage for about a year with the humidipack. And all in all, it looks really good. So I personally think it looks great, considering especially. And here's the cool thing. We don't really ever get to talk about too much because, well, just don't often get the opportunity, I guess. So, I think Old Scratch mentioned there was some amber trichomes. Yeah, in fact, I see that right there. Amber trichomes, which is true. And, common wisdom would have you believe that amber means CBN. However, that does not bear with reality. When we do testing. So when we test flower and we see a lot of amber trichomes, almost in focus. I can see it coming. Oh, that's pretty. Look at that, everyone. That is beautiful. Now that's a money shot. Let's see if we can improve this any. Nope, wrong way. Oh, Guys, cover your screens. It's almost pornographic. Oh, that's because I'm not showing it. I'm an idiot. Hold on. Oh, oh shit. It helps to share the screen. Can't see the money shot. I know. Ah, look at that. That looks great. Y'all see that? Yeah, you gotta be able to see that now. Look at all that resin, that gorgeous resin. So this is where we'll just fuck around with it. Oh yeah. You can see some of the trichomes in the small spots over here. I wish I could show you my mouse. I don't know why I can't. Over in here, you can start to see some of the trichomes. Look at all those. Not bad for outdoors and Home Depot dirt. I agree, Phil. That looks awesome. I agree, my man. No, maybe what we'll do next is we'll throw some of that hash on here. And then see what that looks like under the microscope. So this is where macro stacking is really cool. So obviously it's hard to get like this whole thing in focus. Oh, it's hard just to get this thing in focus. So what I have is a little thing that attaches to my microscope, and it just ever so slightly turns the dial. Hey, I got a visitor here. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Got 2 new samples to try out though, so that's cool. They smell pretty good too, actually. Okay, who do we still have with us? That looks good. So we're on line 3 currently, which is that one. So I'm gonna keep letting that go. Yeah, that's so bizarre. They're identical again. They can't be identical. It's not possible at this point. All right, well, we'll see what the 10X does, since that one used the 10 microliter pipette. Well, nothing to do but wait and see there. So this is a cool shot. I want to get the very tip. There it is. That looks great. In fact, I want to center. Oh, that wasn't helpful. Okay. Now I'm going to switch from the whatever this is objective to the 10 objective. We were on the 4 objective before. Now let's see where we're at. That looks pretty good. This is where macro stacking comes into play, because that will allow you to get focus on the kind of the forward all the way to the back, and then everything can be in focus and sharp. That's how you get those really, really good macro shots you might see oftentimes on the Instagrams. I still think this is a great shot, though. I'm very happy with that. Excuse me. The only thing is it's really blown out. Let auto exposure do its thing. Don't you want to slurp that? Like, just take a little bit of the straw. Looks like you could almost. So that one looks really cool. I'm going to grab a different piece of bud just because. No particular reason other than I want to look at it. This just came in. this out. Hey, that's cool. Give it a little more light. Correct. So that looks really nice. Whatever it is we're looking at here. Maybe a little too zoomed in, I guess. There's some really cool detail. Check that out. That's pretty. What happens if we kick it up a notch? I don't know what the hell we're looking at. Go back to 10. Oh man, we're like on a leaf's edge. How cool is that? What is this globule over here? I want to take a look. What do you think? I want to refresh the page, by the way. Okay. Really wanted this trichome to come into focus, but I think in order for that to happen, it'd have to be somewhere else on the slide. Right there, maybe. That's so cool. I wish I could make out the details in the head. Sadly, I don't think so. And if I go to a 20x objective, I'd be surprised if we could see anything at all. That close, or I gotta be farther away? I'm not sure. I gotta be that much closer. Yeah. That one, not gonna get enough light to do anything with that. Maybe. Oh. So, by the way, if you're watching this and you're wondering why sometimes it slides, uh, on the microscope lens, there's an objective and it can move up and down, and that way you can press against what you're looking at. And as you rotate in and out, as I'm doing right now, oh, good grief. Looking at something over here. Okay. Great question, Blue Panda. Great question. So, question is, where do I get the kit? Can I do it myself, or do I have to send it back to you? Great question. So you do order the kit. You go to kyplabs.com and you can order the potency kit there. It ships to you. It's very, very simple. You'll get a vial like any of the ones if you've been watching. I don't have one handy. No, that works. I don't have one handy, but sorry, mail guy just shut up. Anyway, so I don't have a vial handy, but all you have to do, and let me turn on the other camera so you can see my hands. Boingo, boingo. Take tube light out of here. Go to this one. Okay. So all you got to do so you'll get a vial similar to this. It'll be labeled. You can write on the label. But all you do, get your bud that you want to sample. And what I say is you want to take whatever it is that you're testing, you want to test it in the form that you're going to consume it, right? So if it's not fully dry, don't send it in unless it's fully, ready to go. So as you would consume it, that's the form to send it in for testing. All right, so anyway, here we go. So you're just going to take a little bit of sample off of your bud, pop it in the vial here, put the lid back on top, write the name or whatever information you want on there, and then you ship it back to me, comes to the lab, and then we basically will test it on the live stream probably. So tomorrow, I'm not going to test these today, but tomorrow we're going to test these. This is Gorilla Glue number 4 and Purple Panty Dropper. So those will be tomorrow. But yeah, so you order the kit online, I ship it to you, you put a little sample in it, fill it out, fill the form out, ship it back, and then once I get the test, usually within about 2 to 3 days, you'll get your results. It just depends. Now, I will tell you, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, mail guy dropped off 2 samples next door and I didn't get those for like 2 weeks. So if you haven't gotten your results yet, please message me because I probably haven't seen your tests if you haven't had them yet or something else. But anyway, message me and I'll make sure I can take care of it. Let's see, what else? All right, so I'm going to turn this off and we're going to take a look at what's going on over here. All right, so I'm really, really, really irritated already. I've had to run these tests so many times now. It's stinking ridiculous. So following over here on the left-hand side, I don't know how much of this you can see. The first test, it's just not valid. It's worthless. The next 2 after it, there's 4 here. So the first one's worthless. This one, the second from the left, that's a good test. But these next two after it are not. They're not right, and it doesn't make sense as to why they're not right. So I'm actually going to make sure that the 3 are finished. This should say it's on line 5. Yeah, so line 5. So I'm going to abort the rest of the sequence. And we're going to have to take a look. I guess we'll come back to this camera because we're going to need it. It's so irritating. All right, so as with yesterday, when we did our dilutions, then we ran them, it was like it ran the 125 all times, which is not what we want. So I'm not going to mess with the 125. Like, I can't even fathom why it injected. I do have another idea. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one of these needles here. It should still be okay. This is a 10 This is 10 microliters. That's not going to be enough anyway. I don't want to use that. These, by the way, this is the needle and syringe I would have to be injecting with if I didn't have an auto sampler. And I can tell you that would be bad. The reason for that is just real simple. My hands aren't going to be as precise, or more importantly, they're not going to be as consistent as the machine. So I'm going to do 2 things now. I'm going to take this needle, which hopefully it still works. Some of these don't. Looks like that one does. That's good for me. All right, so I just flushed the needle out with internal standard solvent. Now what I'm going to do is decap this guy, put my needle in there, and all I'm doing is this flushing mechanism in the hopes that the reason it didn't show half as much signal we're going to hope that the reason it doesn't show as much signal because it didn't mix in the vortex. That's what we're hoping for. Don't know if that's accurate. I'm going to try one other thing too. Which is I'm going to pour fresh solvent into the auto sampler. Fresh solvent into the auto sampler. So that way, in between injections, it basically washes them. So these are ready to go. I'm just going to insert this number 2, and we'll see what happens with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put solvent into the thing, which I'll do basically off camera. So I'll be right back. This is not off right now. This is so irritating. Good afternoon, Ray. Good to see you. All right. Okay, so now what we have, don't need this camera anymore. All right, so now what we have is the sequence. I'm just going to rerun it because the data is not worth keeping. Run sequence, start. You know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to rerun 65 and the 6.25. Although those are actually wrong, it should be at 10. That's fine. So we're just going to rerun those two, and we're going to see how it looks. And in the meantime, maybe we'll see what we can see on this microscope. Let's see the hash. Hey, yeah, let's do it. All right, I got to go find a slide. Okay. So. All right, Phil. You wanted to see the hash. We're going to see one of them. All right. Hey, Ray. How you doing today? My eye loop doesn't get that close? Yeah, I hope not. This fucking thing was expensive. I'd be awfully upset if the eye loop was good enough to replace it. Although, that would still be nice, truthfully. And we're just trying to get some focus on this hash. Under the microscope, not all that interesting at this magnification anyway. I mean, we could be looking at dirt for all I know. So, just trying to find something interesting to look at here with this hash. I think, with hash, it might just be that all the good stuff is hard to see. All right, so this is a 60x objective. I just got to try to find some focus here. No, I'll pull in that way. See if we see anything. So I think that, oh, wait, hold on. I was almost about to give up. I see something. All right. Doing pretty good today, Ray. I appreciate you asking. Still not had the success we were hoping for on the calibrations for some reason. We're just we're not getting what we want out of it. Right. I'm having a hard time finding what I'm looking for here. That's too far. So one of the fun things about microscopes like this one, the focus is so damn sensitive. Sometimes you might end up like your focus is on the bottom layer or at the very top or some dust or whatever. It'd be really hard to tell. Then down here is this little aperture thing. Just lets you focus the amount of light, which you can kind of use for contrast purposes. It's not a whole lot to contrast with here. Go way down, you can kind of make out the structures. You can kind of see some of that. That's interesting. Just gonna move to a different piece of the slide here. Really interesting. So what, shit, well, maybe. What I'm gonna do, come back to this one. Ooh. Let that auto exposure take effect here for a second. I was thinking maybe I'll take the top slide off so it's not pressing down. That might give us something more interesting to look at. In fact, I don't know if you can see that now on my camera here. So that's what it looks like instead of being pressed onto two slides. All right, so now we'll fix the focus. All right. Now, because it's not perfectly flat, because of the what I did to it, just trying to get as close as I can without it touching my lens, because there's nothing to protect my lens from the cannabinoids that might end up on there. So something looks like it's coming into focus. Whoa. Check out that detail. Hey, Brandon, we're currently looking at some hash under the microscope. It's got all kinds of interesting structures. That's super interesting. I don't think we can do it on the next one up, but I'm gonna try. See what we see. Hey, oh shit. That's nuts. Just looking at weird hash structures. Look at that. I don't know what it is that you're seeing in there, but you can see something inside of the plant cells. I don't know if you can see that right there. Yeah, that's so cool. This is we're on a 60 objective lens right now. 60 objective. So that's cool. Let's take that out. And then I want to see, let's see. Let's take a look at what's in this guy. What do you think, Phil? What do you think we're going to see? I might also have not necessarily cannabis specifically related, but more to do with the microscope and kind of what's going on there. But I do have also just regular, some plant samples that are on slides that might be interesting just to look at. Leftover hash after I made hash oil. Yep, I gotcha. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. So, minor tip, when you are using when you're using a microscope like this, one tip is to start at the basically the lowest magnification to find what you're looking for. And then move up to the next one to actually zoom in on it. Sometimes it can be hard when somewhere around here is the damn hash. It's hard to see. Okay, getting there. I saw the hash. So, by the way, what we're looking at right now is the bottom layer of glass. So I gotta pull out so that I can focus on something on top of the glass. Just got to get to the right damn angle. I'm not finding it. All right, so I just went ahead and put on some slide glass, hoping that I'll have a better time of finding the right focus. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. That's cool. So this is the 10 objective. And what you're seeing is the hash. This is the hash that's been pressed together. I'm going to screw with the lighting a little bit. It's going to change what you can see. But what I'm going to do, we're on the 10x objective. I'm going to move to the 20x objective so that we can get even better shot. So just playing with the brightness. So again, there's this little knob thing that I can adjust how much light comes from underneath. And then that can kind of help set the level of exposure that you got going on. So that looks like a nice, cool shot of crystals. I want to see what we can see here. All right, so I'm gonna move us all the way up to the 60. And we'll see what happens. So we're on the 60 and I'm just trying to find somewhere with focus, and I'm not, so far, not having much luck. Despite this thing being pressed almost all the way up to it. So I'm popping back down to the 20. My goal here is to find something I can get an image out of and then zoom in on it from there. That's kind of a cool shot. I'll jack the contrast down. Still gonna tweak it a little bit. Want a little more light. It's kind of cool. You can almost see a crystalline structure over here on the left. So very cool on that one. Thanks for dropping those off, Phil. Very interesting to look at, that's for sure. So we will see. Somewhere I have I'll have to find them, but I have some microscope slides that kind of cool. Fucking thing. Wait, has it just not run at all? I swear this is my whole life making this stupid thing work right. It's a very frustrating one. Well, that was my mistake. Oh my god. Okay, so that's fun. I just saw the problem. Or at least one of them. Who knows? Who knows about what happens after? All right. Yeah, Bort. Yeah. So we're working on lines 1 through 4. Can anybody tell me? Can anyone tell me what the error is in lines 1 through 4? anyone tell me what the error in the software that has just caused us at least 2 hours of stupidity? And anyone point it out to me? Anyone in the chats? I don't have anything to give you if you get it, but I will clap for you. Nobody? Nobody at all? It's all right. I didn't notice it either. All right, here it is. This is why the first 4 injections seem to be exactly the same. This is why. Location, vial number 26. Location, vial number 26. Location, vial number 26. Location, vial number 26. Might as well update this since I'm thinking about it. No, Ray. Unfortunately, the error was here on the location column. They were all pointing to the 125 calibration standard instead of going in sequence to the next ones. This, by the way, is why there's not many cannabis testing labs like KYP, because it is wholly unprofitable. Wholly unprofitable. Do small batch testing. Okay. Oh, it's so bad. That's so frustrating. Phil, I might just have to mainline one of these jars to get over this fucking testing series. That's just how it goes. Yeah, unfortunately, very easy mistake, easy to miss. Also, by the way, if I'm on a live stream, there's a very good chance I miss any message that you send to me. Just FYI. All right, well, since we're waiting on that, I thought the microscope was kind of... Okay, this one makes sense. That's on me. Where did I put it? Oh, it's still in the thing. Okay. It does help to put the standard into the thing when you're trying to run it. Just FYI. That's some like top secret cannabis scientist stuff right there. Don't tell anybody. They'll kick me out of the club. I'll have to learn a new secret handshake. I'll put this in the freezer. Then I'm going to look for some plant slides because maybe we'll see some cool stuff. I'll be right back. As always, that first injection is always some kind of fuck up. I wish I understood it, but all right. I got some cool stuff to show you guys. I think it's cool anyway. Hopefully you'll think it's cool too. All right, so I'm going to turn back on the microscope. Okay. Yeah, there. All right. So I want to see this thing. I'm going to zoom out so I can find where we are. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out even more. All right, that's cool. All right, can anyone guess what it is we're looking at? I couldn't guess unless I guessed completely randomly and accurately. I do not think I would get it correctly. So, see how deep into this thing we can get. All right, that's cool. Any guesses as to what we're looking at here under the microscope? Any guesses at all? Huh. All right, that's fun. So this, that's the dust on the top layer. Then we focus past the dust. Check that out. I'm going to magnify this to 50%. I'll see if we can get it any clearer. Not that direction. How can anyone guess what we're looking at? So for grins and giggles, we're at the 20 power now. I'm going to go ahead and move to the 60. Lotus flower. It is not a lotus flower. That's a great guess, though. I'm going to go spoil it here in a minute as soon as I get this focus. Check it out, guys. When was the last time you saw cells from a dog's stomach? That is what this is. This is a portion of a dog's stomach lining. And apparently we can see some of these really neat cells. Just going to up the contrast a little bit. Doesn't really do what I wanted. That's still really stinking cool. All right, I mean, how cool is it? You can see, now obviously, I mean, you can make out the cellular structures, the outlines, and you can even see some of the mitochondria, I think is what that is, inside of there. Like, how neat is that? All right. Let's do this next one. This one's going to be really cool. So we're going to start at the 4 objective, 4x objective. Actually, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to start at the 10x. And then we're going to go from there. There. Oh, yeah, that's it. How freaking cool is this? Hey, David. Good to see you. We've got the gas chromatograph is running in the background. And while we're waiting, we're just looking at some of these microscope slides under the microscope and seeing what we see. All right, anyone want to give a guess as to what this is? That is cool. Look at those cellular walls. How often do you see that shit? I bet almost never. Any guesses as to what we're looking at here? I'm going to go ahead and move us from the 10 objective to the 20. Bring us back into focus here. Adam, I don't know who you know that has green skin cells, but I'd like to talk to them. It's a good guess. It is kind of like skin cells, just not for humans or mammals or things of that nature. Although it does breathe and respire, so that's your hint. Do we want to see if we can go all the way to 60 objective on this thing? Let's do it. Yes, it is plant wall cells. In particular, this is a sample of a pine leaf. Pine leaf. So very cool. And this is at 60 objective. See what we can clear up there. So what's really cool about this, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try to make it easier to see here. So remember, the microscope has very, very, very narrow depth of field. So every micro movement, up, down, or sideways, whatever, especially up, down, when I'm talking about that field for the microscope, you know, it changes what you see and what you can see, right? So that's why sometimes I see the dust on top of the glass, and I got to change my focus to focus deeper to look at what's underneath the glass, as an example. So the same thing is happening for cells. And what you can kind of see over here, put this box in the middle of it, you can almost, this is the 60 objective, you can almost make out what's going on inside of that cell. So if I try to change the focus a little bit, try to clear it up as much as I can. Yeah, that's probably as good as we're going to get with this thing. I'm going to put more light into here, see what happens. Got to let it readjust. Oh, look at that. Can almost kind of make some stuff out. So that's kind of cool. That's just what's going on inside of the cellular structure of a pine leaf. So you make weed coffee. I do indeed make weed coffee. Although technically it's from hemp, so it's a legal product. But yes, indeed, I do make infused coffee. My infused coffee is more of a medication like experience rather than say a recreational edible. Because unlike recreational edibles, that'll convert in your body to 11-hydroxy and get you high, my coffee won't do that, which is both good and bad. Ooh, ooh. Oh, it's out for delivery? That was fast, David. I'm super pleased. I tell you, USPS has been such a shit show as far as packages this time of year. So I sent a package to David. He's local to me here in Arizona, and he normally gets it like next day, right? This package went to LA, and then it went to Denver, and then it came back, or whatever. UPS, man. USPS, rather. Oh, soon. Hopefully it'll be there soon for you. All right, so what are we looking at? I don't even remember. I wasn't paying attention. I have a cheat sheet. Oh. All right, so this is mushroom. We're looking at mushroom cells. We're looking at mushroom cells. So let's go ahead and... That's kind of cool. You can already see some neat stuff in there. So I'm going to jack this up to 50. And I just want to see if I can get any more resolution out of what we're looking at. So I'm just going to play with the focus. So that's probably as good a resolution as we're going to get on that. Psilocybin, no. This is Copriamus mushroom. Copriamus. Not sure how to say that precisely. It took 2 months. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Happen for Dave there. All right, we're on the 10x objective, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move us to the 20. See what we see. All right, check it out. So I'm gonna get more light, hoping that'll give me a little bit more detail. All right, that's probably as focused as I can get. Bump up the contrast here. It's kind of cool, right? Because it kind of looks like cannabis in the sense that it has like trichomes coming out of it, or at least it looks like trichomes. Very well, maybe the same type of structure. I'm not sure. Very neat. So that's the 20. We're going to go all the way up to the 60 objective, which should get us nice and close. So what are the little offshoots? I'm not sure the specific plant terminology for them, but my guess, and that is what it is, would be a guess, is it's a similar type of structure to trichomes. And specifically, we're looking at Copriamus mushroom. And I wish I could get that clearer. I'm not sure if it's me or... That's like so hard to see anything, but you can kind of tell, it kind of looks like a trichome, like a mushroom head. All right, well, that was the mushroom. Let's see what else we got to look at here while we wait. I should be better at waiting since that's 80% of what I do when I'm testing, but I'm really bad at it. All right, back to the 10 objective. Gonna zoom back out. Hell yeah. Microscope all the things, okay? Just science boom, all that shit. It's what we need more of in this world. More science boom. Less, bruh. I heard it on YouTube. The sample's so small. Having a hard time seeing it even to get it like close enough. We're gonna go back to this one. Hopefully I can actually make out where the hell this thing is. All right, we'll go all the way back to I think there it is. I can kind of see it. Oh, there it is. All right, cool. All right, so like I was saying before, there's a very thin piece of glass on these. So all the specks that you see, that's actually just dust and shit. And then as we change the focus, we should see less dust and more of the plant cell. All right, so we're at the 4x objective. I wanted this just to kind of find the target. Now I'm going to switch to the 10. Usually I have to back out for the exposure to fix itself. There we go. Now that's kind of a cool shot, right? Let's make that a little bigger. That's really neat. Let's see how far into this thing we can see. All right, we're moving from the 10 to the 20. Here we go. Boom. So, so again, this, what you see now, that's dust on the very top of the piece of glass. Now we're going to focus past it to see underneath. And what a world we see. That is cool. Yeah, that's neat. I'm going to fuss around with the objective lighting here. See if we can get more contrast and detail. How cool is that? It's so neat to me how the visual of it changes as the focus does. Right? Because we're seeing a different, slightly different perspective on that cell as I change the focus knob. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm gonna blow this out and see what happens. Don't see anything else. All right. I don't know what we're looking at here, but we're gonna play around too. By the way, we're looking at sunflower stem cells. I don't know if it's actually a stem cell or if it's actually just a cell off the stem, which is my guess. All things considered. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining. That's awesome. So glad you won one of the kits. I don't know if you know already. We did talk about it a little bit ago. But if you have any questions about those kits or how to get them back to me, just let me know. I'm more than happy to go over that. All right, so this is sunflower. I'm going to go all the way up to 60 just to see if we see anything. You never know. I'm going to back out here. 20% zoom. I was hoping to see if there was like some kind of cellular structure or something to look at inside of the cells. Oh, what kits? Oh, man, I'm so bad at marketing, aren't I? Hold on. I have a thing for this. KYPLabs.com. I am over 21 years of age, thankfully. All right. Man, I really got to be better about this, don't I? Okay. Boom. So if you don't know, where was the comment? What kits? I missed something. All right. So if you don't know, KYP Labs, that's where we're at right now. We sell a mailable test kit. Put your cannabis in one of these vials, you send it back to us, we test it out. That's what we do on the live stream. And the way that you can get one of those test kits is going to kyplabs.com/product/sample-test-kit. I think you can also just do kyplabs.com/sample-test-kit. Anyway, you can order one of these, mail it to you. You take a very small amount, just about a pinch, about the size of a dime. Okay, about the size of a dime, and you take your sample of cannabis, mail it back to me with the paperwork, so it doesn't get hung up by the post office, and you can get your cannabis tested. It usually only takes a few days, typically, sometimes maybe a little longer. All right, so I don't think we're going to see anything else with this stem cells. Ayo. So, all right, so this is our injections that are running. This, again, is the calibration standards. So this is the first good injection. The next one should also be good. But for whatever reason, the very first injection after the machine hasn't been running tends to, what you call it? Oh my goodness. Anyway, tends to not inject as we would like it to. All right, so let's go straight to the 20. Oh, you can't see what I'm talking about because I'm covering stuff up. That's okay. So we are going to come back here. That should update now. Oh, that looks cool. We got lucky. Didn't even have to fuss with it too much. All right, so we are now looking at, I believe, young root of broad bean. Because why not? So we're at the 10x objective. Looks like there might be stuff in there to look at. That would be cool. Let's see what we can do. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot more clear than what we have. It already looks pretty good in focus. That's about as good as focus as it can be. So let's go ahead. We're going to move from the 10 to the 20 objective. And then we're going to back out the... We're going to back the focus up a little bit. All right, that's cool. So I thought I saw a little bit of the cellular structure somewhere around here, I think. So I want to say we're able to see inside these little pieces here. But, you know, it's kind of hard to tell. You know what I mean? So let's play with the light, just see what happens. All right. So this is a 20 objective. We're going to move to the 60. All right, so we're zoomed in too much to see anything. I'm going to zoom out. That's actually pretty good. I can almost make out what's going on in there. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool too how this like cell seems to be like a little, it's like something inside of the larger cell. I don't know what the hell that is, but that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Auto exposure. I don't know what's that doing. What's the temperature on these? 67, I think. Yeah, scopes are really cool. I'll be honest, I don't really get to use it as much as I might want to normally. And part of that is, I mean, you see me screwing around with this. Sometimes it can take a lot of time just to get the right image. So it's not always prudent. Now, obviously, you won't get this kind of resolution from your phone, but they do sell. Is this the nucleus of the cell? That's a great question. And I don't know. I'm not a plant guy, so I'm going to go with possibly. It makes sense to me. But I don't know specifically if this is the nucleus or not. I'd have to do some research into that. Definitely interesting question. I mean, I'm curious too. But yeah. All right. So what was the other one I saw come through? Do you grow your own to make the coffee? No. So the coffee, all the cannabinoids are sourced from hemp. That's why it's a legal product. And so I go through just a hemp wholesaler. They don't grow it themselves either, but they do all the processing. So they they do the they do the processing out of I want to say Colorado Springs, Colorado is where they're based out of, and then they source from hemp farms either in California, Colorado, and I think also Arizona. So they source from them, and then they do all the refinement into the cannabinoids and whatnot, and then we get that after the fact. That's when we do our testing to see, like, okay, we have a, let's say it's a distillate or isolate or something like that. Do the testing to see what's the potency on that, and then work from there to incorporate it. So, for example, let's say you have a distillate that's 80% CBD. Let's just say as an example. That 80% CBD, you want to test it to know that it's 80%, and then you use that number in your dosing. So, good example, that's like when we do the original Jane, that has THC and that has to be dosed fairly precisely. And so we take a lot of caution when we're dosing around that. But no, so we don't do any of the growing here. One of the things that I would like to do one day, hopefully, if the coffee ever gets big enough, is to do a fully vertically integrated. And so that would be, we would have the farm and the processing as all part of the, as part of the whole thing. And then the CBD, the end products could be funneled out. And then that would be cool, because then you could say, okay, well, we own the farm, we own, every aspect of it, so we can control those very tightly for quality and whatnot. But that's definitely down the line right now. We're barely big enough to make the coffee as it is. I mean, as you might have noticed, it's just me, which also is challenging at times. All right. So that was the young root of broad bean. Why not? That's cool. Let's see what else we got. Feel like Dexter with these little slide case. Yes, come out, my trophy. I wish to examine you. We're going to go back to the 10. See what we see. Hopefully not just that. That's terrible. All right. So we got a lot of bleed coming through. Come on, I know it's around here. There it is. Heyo. So I don't know why it's so washed out. Let's see what we can fix here. All right, seed to cup. Yep, that would be really cool. Unfortunately, I will need to find some partners to make that happen. All right, this is cool. So that very well could be the nucleus. It's hard to tell. We're at a 10 objective now, so I'm going to move to the 20. All right, we'll find focus. Oh, that's cool. So you can definitely start to make out some of these structures, and you can see kind of some of the stuff in there too. Thought there was, yeah, a good one over here. So that's pretty cool. So you can see the overall cell, right? And then we have this smaller cellular structure, And yeah, these are probably the nucleus or something like that. I don't know. Let's see what we can go to. We're gonna go to 60. Oh wow. That's interesting. I wonder what those are. Any guesses? Like what those lines are? Maybe that's just cellular walls being built like 3D printed on top of one another. Maybe that's, I don't know. Honestly guessing. Because again, I'm not a plant scientist guy. Not this kind anyway. I want to find one of those nucleuses we saw. Hell yeah, Lisa. You let me know when you find out, please. We'll tag team it. Oh, I think I saw it. Yeah, that kind of looks like it. Well, maybe. When we're this close, it's so hard to see, make out some of these things. And then the other part of this too is we have to fuss around with the depth of field, right? So sometimes we might only be seeing the edges of the cells, not even what's inside of them, based on what the depth of field looks like. Must be way up in it. Yeah. So not sure. Not sure what we're seeing there, but that's still pretty cool, I think. And this, by the way, is onion epidermis. So this is the skin, I guess, of an onion. That's kind of cool. Get a little bit more light. Max out the light. Maybe not. All right, let's see what we got going on over here. Oh, good Lord. It's always something. So let me get this out of the way. So I just checked on the GC and it says not ready up here, right? Do you see that? It just turned off. It powered off for no. Okay. Good grief. Good grief. Okay, so exciting times. The GC decided to power itself off. I don't know why. So it's hooked into this thing, which is a power line conditioner. Just make sure, like a fancy surge protector. But it didn't trip, that I can tell. But the GC turned itself off, which is not good. So I plugged that into another one, and it did come back. So that's cool. And I guess while I did that, I must have unplugged the computer that runs it. So let me see if I can share this again. Cool. What the hell? Okay. All right, not that. Stop. I really am not a fan of Windows. Show me temp station. Oh, you know what? I'm done. Fuck off. All these pop-ups. Jesus Christ. Thanks for stopping by, Lisa. It was great having you here with us. All right, so I got to, it's not talking to the GC, so I got to fix that. Hopefully that just means over here. All right, so now that it's talking to the GC, I can actually open it up. It's like the run from hell for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm doing it on live stream. Hey, Phil, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, this is probably going to be another couple hours. So I'm going to try to get that to you soon. But we will be finishing this up. Thanks for joining us. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. This is so frustrating. So it should say that we're ready. Not sure why it doesn't at the moment. So I'm just going to reload the software. One of the things about this old software is it really does follow the ideology of, okay, well, if it doesn't work, just reboot it. Okay, so if you're following along still, I have to update the sequence, fix the errors that didn't save before. 7, 8. But what I'm going to do here is take out these calibration runs because I don't really need them. Not for this. Just leave this in. And I'm going to rerun the entire sequence. Just let it run back to back. That way the calibration can run. Samples can run at the same calibration window. It's what we like, you know. Make sure it's as accurate as possible. Let's see if this will even run for me. Sometimes when you run these things so many times, you need to replace the septa cap on the vial because it's been punctured so many times. It's now just got a hole in it. Okay. Let's see if we can see this on the camera or not. So if you can see that, that's just from the needle having gone in here probably 4 or 5 times now. Well, 7, 8, maybe since we screwed it up. But yeah, I can almost see through like gap of light. So that's not good. That's just gonna let the solvent evaporate. Not what I am going for whatsoever. All right, so this is running. I'm going to make sure that it does at least 2 injections back to back without messing up. Provided that's the case, that's probably going to be it for today. This thing's going to take at least, it's probably going to take at least 2 hours for it to run what it's got running now. So I think tomorrow, hopefully there's no errors that prevents this from running tonight. But I think tomorrow what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll show how the actual calibration process or the quantification process works. I'll show the spreadsheet that I use, pop in the data, and then quantify it. And then y'all can see what a ridiculous sum of work it is to run a test. Oh, speak of the devil, somebody just messaged me not hearing about their test result. We actually ran them the other day, so I do have their results. I don't have them on me, so I'm gonna have to calculate them later too. Such is as how it goes. Let me message him so he doesn't forget. All right, so we're gonna do that. So this is kind of interesting too if you're watching. All these little spikes. Wow. All these little spikes down here. Almost certainly electrical noise or something else. Almost certainly electrical noise. So that was good. I don't know. All right, so I don't know who the one person who's left watching this. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I'm gonna shut down the stream. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we will for sure be finishing this thing, one way or another, and then we'll maybe look at some stuff under the microscope and other stuff. I don't know. But thanks for whoever's joining. Thanks to everybody who watched, everybody who's watching now and in the future. As always, please follow us, Highest Ground Coffee. Also follow us, KYP Labs, Facebook, also on TikTok. And if you haven't ordered a tester kit, please consider doing so. It's helps support us. You can get yours at kyplabs.com/product/sample test kit. You get your kit, you put your flower samples in there, you mail it back, you get your results a few days later after watching me struggle on stream to do it. So KYP Labs, also check us out for Highest Ground Coffee. It's infused coffee that medicates. And if you have any questions about cannabis science, and stuff like that, I love talking about it. Drop us a comment, drop us a follow, drop us a like, whatever it is. Hope to see you around. Thanks, everybody.